We're holding in the Gemara towards the bottom of the Tzadik Aleph Amud Beis, about 5 lines or 6 lines from the bottom, where it says Masav Rav Beve bar Abaya. The Gemara here is discussing the machlokes of Chizkiah and Rabbi Yochanan. The Negeya to Eged Keli, if you took out a basket full of fruits, and they are small fruits, for example, the Gemara said that small seeds of mustard, and there are full seeds of mustard that are already fully in the Reshus HaRabim, but the basket itself, part of it is still in the Reshus HaYachid. Chizkiah says, Eged Keli Shmei Eged. Because part of it is in the Reshus HaYachid, again, let's look inside the Gemara before. Chizkiah says, Eged Keli Lo Shmei Eged. That the Keli, that part of it is still in the Reshus HaYachid, is not considered to be attached there, and the peiros, the contents of the basket that was taken out, is considered to be a full eitzah. Rabbi Yochanan's opinion is, Eged Keli Shmei Eged, that even if you have contents inside the basket that are fully out, but if part of the Keli is still inside, then it's still connected to the Reshus HaYachid and it's not a Hitzah. Masar Rabbi bar Abaya asked over here a question on Rabbi Yochanan's opinion. Hagoynev kis b'Shabbos, a person is stealing a purse on Shabbos. Chayev, so he's going to be chayev to pay for this purse. And what's the reason? So before I continue, this braisa is based on the concept of komle b'derabim minei, which means that if you're chayiv to pay for gneva and for chil Shabbos, which is a chiyuv misa, in the same action, so because there's a chiyuv misa, so therefore you're potter from the tashlumin. Komle b'derabim minei, you're only chayiv the harsher punishment, and the lesser the payment, you'll be potter. So over here, the person is doing 2 things. He's stealing, and he's also doing a malach of hitzah on Shabbos. Chayev, but he's going to be chayev for the stealing, and the reason is shekvan is chayev b'gneve koydem shiyav l'dei isa Shabbos, because he's chayev in the gneve. The gneve is complete even before the isa Shabbos happens. Why is that? So as Rashi explains, because when he lifts it up, he's kaineh this purse b'hagbah, by lifting it up. So that's the completion of the gneve. Then when he takes it out into the Reshus HaRabim, that's when the malacha of hitzah takes place. So since it's not at the same time, the rule of kamle b'derabim minei does not apply. However, if he did not lift up this purse, he was dragging it on the ground, and that's how we brought it on to the Reshus HaRabim, so then potter. Then he would be potter for paying for the gneva. Sharei issa gneva v'issa Shabbos bo'an ke'echad. The issa of the gneva, the kinyan of the gneva, when the Mashiach takes place, when he brings it out of the Reshus of the Balabayas, into the Reshus HaRabim, or in fact Rashi says into the Tzidei Reshus HaRabim, so then the Geneva takes place and the Isser of Eitzah takes place Ke'echad at the same time. So therefore the rule of Kamle b'derabim minei applies, and he would be potter. So now the Gemara brings us back to the Shaila over here, B'negeya to Eged Keli. Eged Keli Shmei Eged. Now if you're going to say that if you have part of a Keli that's still in the Reshus HaYachid, so then the malach of hitzah is incomplete, and you're not chayiv yet. So if so, kodem le'issa geneva l'issa Shabbos, we would still say, even if you're dragging it on the ground, that the issa geneva is happening before the issa of Shabbos. And as Rashi explains, the reason is because the issa of geneva, you're going to be kind with the Mashiach of bringing it into the Reshus HaRabim, even before it's fully taken out of the Reshus of the Balabayas. As long as the opening of the purse is outside and you're able to take the money out, that's the kinyan of the Mashiach, even while part of the purse is still in the Reshus HaYachid. Whereas according to Rabbi Yochanan, the Isser of Hitzah is only if you took the purse out totally in to the Reshus HaRabim. So the Isser Geneva is still first. Answers the Gemara, if he actually took out this purse and the opening of the purse was towards the Reshus HaRabim, so then you're right, even before he fully took it out, there's the Geneva, and he's kaina it, and the Issa Shabbos only comes when the purse is fully outside. But over here, what are we talking about? The Afke Derech Shulav. He took out the purse in its bottom first, and therefore the opening is not there for him to take out the money, and therefore he's not kaina it until the purse is fully outside the Reshus HaRabim, and therefore the Issa Geneva and Issa Shabbos are happening at the same moment. But even if he takes out the bottom of the purse first, but there is the place even on the bottom of the purse where they stitch it closed, the boy mafkele v'shakal, that he could easily tear it open, and take out the money. So even if he's taking out the bottom of the purse first, for the geneva, he should be kaina because the money is accessible to him from the bottom. But for the Chilul Shabbos, according to Rabbi Yochanan, he's not over an Eitzah until he takes it fully out. So they're still not at the same time. And it says the Gemara Benasche. It's talking about a purse that doesn't have money in it, but it has pieces of silver in it. So therefore, it's large pieces of silver, and not until he fully takes it into the Rishus HaRabim will he be kaina it, and therefore the Issa of Shabbos and the Kinyan of Geneva are happening at the same moment when the purse is fully out of the Rishus HaRabim. But the Gemara asks further, but doesn't a purse usually have drawstrings to tie it closed? So Mapik Leat Pume, so a Ganev takes out this purse and he has the opening out into the Rishus HaRabim, Vishari, and he unties the drawstrings, Vishakil, and he can take out the pieces of silver. And therefore, even if part of the silver is still in the Rishus HaYachid, but as soon as he unties the drawstrings and he can take out the pieces of silver in the Rishus HaRabim, so then that should be enough to be kaina with the Meshicha. But Vishnatzin, there's the other ends of the drawstrings that are agidim mikavoy, that are still dangling behind into the Rishus HaYachid. So according to Rabbi Yochanan, even if just part of the purse, in this case the drawstrings, are still in the Rishus HaYachid, the full keli the full purse is not in the Rishus HaRabim, so there was no hitzah yet. So the Geneva is happening when he could untie the drawstrings and take out the nascha even, the pieces of silver in the Rishus HaRabim, but the Chilul Shabbos did not take place yet because the ends of the drawstrings are still in the Rishus HaYachid. So the Gemara answers, the Lekish Notzen. Here we're talking about a purse that does not have the usual drawstrings. Or even if it does, the Islay umekarchi lavei. Even if it has the drawstrings, but they're tied around it and therefore they're not lingering behind back into the Rishus HaYachid. So the Geneva, the Meshicha, the Kinyan of the Geneva, and the Chilul Shabbos, the Hitzah, is happening at the same moment, and therefore he's going to be pater for paying, as the Braisa said. Now, the Gemara brings other opinions of other Ameiraim that argued about the same inyan of Chizki and Rabbi Yochanan, whether Eged Keli Shmei Eged. So Rava as well learned in our Mishnah, Loi Shanu Ela B'Kupa Malei Kishon Idluin. This, that it says in the Mishnah, that if the basket is partially in the Rishus HaYachid, you're not chayiv. It's only like Chizki is said, if the basket contains longer vegetables, like cucumbers or melons, so part of the contents of the basket are inside. But if the basket is full with mustard seeds, so then chayiv, because you have full seeds that have been taken out, regardless if part of the keli, part of the basket is still inside. Alme, so I see Kosovar that Rava holds Eged Keli lo shmei Eged. The fact that part of the keli is inside the Rishus HaYachid does not connect all of the contents to the Rishus HaYachid. Whatever's inside, if it's fully out, the malach has been done. Abaye Omar, and Abaye said like Rabbi Yochanan, afilu malei achardel potter, even if it's filled with the mustard seeds, you're going to be potter if part of the keli is still in the Rishus HaYachid. Alme Kosovar Eged Keli shmei Eged. So I see that Rava held like Rabbi Yochanan that the keli being attached in the Rishus HaYachid is an eged, and the contents of the keli, you won't be chayav for them either until the keli is fully in the Rishus HaRabim. Now the Gemara says, Kom Abaye b'shitasi de Rava. Abaye changed his opinion and he assumed Rava's opinion that eged keli shmei eged, and Kom Rava b'shitasi de Abaye. And Rava changed his opinion and he assumed Abaye's opinion that eged keli lo shmei eged. And now, based on this, that their opinion was changed, the question was asked, there's a contradiction from what Abaye says here to what Abaye said elsewhere. And the question was also asked that there's a contradiction in Rava's opinion. And as Taisus points out, that the Gemara knew that the following argument that the Gemara is about to bring between Abaye and Rava was learned after they changed their opinion here. And therefore it's going to be a contradiction. The Itmar, we learned the following argument: Tamoitzi Peirais l'Rishus HaRabim. A person that's standing in the Rishus HaYachid and he sticks out his hand into the Rishus HaRabim, so he's carrying with his hands the Peirais into the Rishus HaRabim. Abaye, so Abaye says Biyad Chayiv. Sticking out his hand into the Rishus HaRabim, he's going to be Chayiv, even though his hand is attached to his body. and his body is still in the Rishus HaYachid, it doesn't matter. His hand is in the Rishus HaRabim, and therefore it's going to be chayiv. Bekeli. However, in a case where he takes a keli out into the Rishus HaRabim and part of the keli is still in the Rishus HaYachid, as Rashi explains, that's what we're talking about here, then potter. Then it's going to be potter. So what does Abaye over here say? Eget keli shmei eget. Because part of it is still in the Rishus HaYachid, so therefore he's going to be potter. Rava Amar, and Rava says, biyad, if you carry it out with your hands, you stuck your hand out into the Rishus HaRabim, so then you'll be potter, because your hand is attached to your body, which is in the Rishus HaYachid. But if you carry it out with a keli, and part of the keli is still in the Rishus HaYachid, so then chayiv. Then you'll be chayiv, because eget keli, lo yishmei eget. So this is the opposite of the way we said before, Abaye and Rava's opinion is, after they each assumed each other's opinion, so we have a contradiction here. Says the Gemara Eipach. So we're going to have to reverse their opinions here in this machlokes that we just quoted to fit with their opinions that we had before. B'yad chayev. Now the Gemara goes and questions the other detail that was brought here in their argument. What did it say? That according to Abaye, if you stick out your hand into the Rishus HaRabim, so then even though it's connected to your body that's in the Rishus HaYachid, you'll be chayev because your hand is out into the Rishus HaRabim. But Vatnan, we learned in the very first Mishnah of this Masechta, Pashat Balabayis is Yadi Lachutz. The Balabayis is standing inside, and he sticks his hand outside. V'nata la'ani mitoicha. And he does not put it down. The ani takes from his hands. Or the ani places something into the Balabayis' hands, v'hichnis, and the Balabayis brings it into the Rishus HaYachid, Shneim Peturim. They are both potter. So what do we see over there? That the fact that his hand is stuck out into the Rishus HaRabim, but if he did not place it down into the Rishus HaRabim, if the item is still in his hand, he's going to be potter, because his hand is connected to his body, which is in the Rishus HaYachid. So since it's connected, it's not munach in the Rishus HaRabim, and he's potter. So how could Abaye over here say, biyad chayiv? This is the Gemara. Hasam l'mayla megimel. That Mishnah, the first Mishnah, the Masechta, is speaking about a person, the Balabayis, that's standing in the Rishus HaYachid and sticks out his hand into the Rishus HaRabim, and his hand is above 3 tfachim. So therefore there's no hanacha. So he's potter. Hacha lamata megimel. Here, the statement of Abaye was in a case where he stuck out his hand into the Rishus HaRabim, and his hand was close 3 tfachim to the ground. So over here, it's as if it's lying on the ground. There's the halacha of lavud within 3 tfachim of the ground. It's as if he placed it down on the ground, and this was Abaye's chiddush, that although his hand is attached to his body, which is in the Rishus HaYachid, but nevertheless, because the hand is in the Rishus HaRabim, and it's within 3 tfachim of the ground, that qualifies for a hanacha, and it'll be chayiv. Zok the Mishnah, Hamoitzi, a person carries on Shabbos, ben bimina in his right hand, ben bismoile or on his left hand, betoy cheikai in his bosom, or al kseifov on his shoulders, chayiv. It'd be chayiv. All of these are considered to be a normal way of carrying. Shekei masa b'nei kahas. This is also how the b'nei kahas carried in the Mishkan. As Rashi explains, regarding carrying with your right or left hand or in your bosom, you don't need a raya. We don't have to prove this from B'nai Kahas. It's the normal way of carrying. But we're bringing this as a proof for the fact that carrying on your shoulders is considered to be a normal way of carrying, because this is how the B'nai Kahas carried, as the Gemara will bring. A person that carries in a backhanded way, in an unusual manner. Beragle carries with his feet, bivpiv in his mouth. As Taisus points out over here, this is not referring to food, because food is normal to be carrying in your mouth, but any other item that a person carries in his mouth. According to Rashi, it's the armpit. According to Taisus, it's in the elbow. Ba'oznai in his ears, besaida in his hair. B'pundasai upia lamata. He has a money belt, but the opening of the money belt is facing downward. It's not so secure to carry that way. Bein pundase lechalukai. He's carrying something between his money belt and his cloak. Ubisfas chalukai. He's carrying something in the hem of his cloak. Bimin Allah in his shoe, bisandalai in a sandal. Potter, in all these cases he would be potter because it's not the normal way of carrying. Shalei haitzi kederach hamitziin. He's not carrying the way a person usually carries on Shabbos, and therefore you're potter. Amar Rabbi Lazar said, Hamoitzi masoi l'mayla masarat tfachim. If you carry on Shabbos and it's above 10 tfachim, chayiv, you would be chayiv. So as Rashi explains, this is related to the Mishnah here. The Mishnah said you carried on your shoulders. So your shoulders are above 10 tfachim. So that you definitely would be chayiv. That's the befedish din of the Mishnah. That's not what Rabbi Elazar was talking about. Rabbi Elazar is talking about a person carrying in his hands. And it's also above 10 tfachim. But it's not on his shoulders. Although usually we say that above 10 tfachim is a makim p'tur. The Rishus HaRabim only extends up, that doesn't extend further up, higher than 10 tfachim. Nevertheless, if the person is holding it in his hands or on his shoulders, he's going to be chayiv. And this is different than a halacha that it says later in the Gemara, and we had it before already. If you throw above 10 tfachim, so then you're going to be potter. Above 10 tfachim is not the Rishus HaRabim. But regarding carrying above 10 tfachim, since this is the way it was done in the Mishkan, you would be chayiv. You're carrying it in your hands, and your feet are on the ground in the Rishus HaRabim. The fact that your feet are on the ground in the Rishus HaRabim while the item is in your hands, you're going to be chayiv like it was done in the Mishkan. Shekain Masa B'nei Kahos. This is the way the B'nei Kahos carried the Kalim in the Mishkan above 10 tfachim. Masa B'nei Kahos min Alon. From where do we know that the B'nei Kahos carried above 10 tfachim? The Chsiv, because it says in the Pasuk, the Bach says here, Asher ala Mishkan v'ala Mizbeach saviv, that you had the curtain surrounding the Mishkan and the Mizbeach. So the Pasuk puts the Mishkan and the Mizbeach together here. Makish Mizbeach le Mishkan. So we compare the two. Ma Mishkan Yudamis, Af Mizbeach Yudamis. Just like the height, the Mishkan was 10 amas tall, so too the Mizbeach was also 10 amas tall. Or Mishkan Gufe Minolon. For where do we know that the Mishkan was 10 amas tall? The Chsiv, because it says in the Pasuk, Eser amas Eirech HaKeresh. It says that the Kroshim were 10 amas long, and they stood up these Kroshim for the walls of the Mishkan. So that's the height of the Mishkan. Uksiv, and the Pasuk says, Vayifreis esa oyel ala Mishkan, that the oyel, which refers to the yiriyos, the coverings, the roof, was spread all over the Mishkan. Va'amar Rav, and Rav said, Moshe Rabbeinu persai. Moshe Rabbeinu is the one that spread the yiriyos over the Mishkan. So Moshe Rabbeinu must have been that height of 10 amas to be able to spread the yiriyos over the Mishkan. Mikan at Telomit. So the Gemara says, so from here we could learn and assume that the same also applies to all Levim, that Goyim Shalavim Eser Amis. If Moshe Rabbeinu was this height, that he was able to throw it over the Mishkan, so we could assume that the Levim were the same height as well. They were 10 amas tall. So now that we know that they were 10 amas tall, and what were they carrying? They were carrying the Mizbeach, they were carrying the Oren. So let's see what the Gemara here says. Gemiri, so now we know the Chol Tuna the Midli B'maitais. Anything that a person carries with poles on his shoulders. Tilsa Mila'el, a third of what he's carrying is going to be above his shoulders. V'trei Tilsi Milatachas, and 2/3 is going to be below him. So ishtakach, if that's the case, it comes out to have a midli tuva, that what they carried was raised above the ground much more than 10 tfachim. Okay, because if the Levim were 10 amas tall, and they're carrying the Mizbeach, that's tall 10 amas, so it comes out that what was below them was between 6 and 7 amas. Was below their shoulders. It's still way above 10 tfachim from the ground. So we see that the way they carried the Mizbeach was above 10 tfachim off the ground. Yibai say, now the Gemara says, if you want, I can prove to you this, that the Levium carried above 10 tfachim differently. Me'arin, from the way they carried the Arin. The Amamar, Arain Tisha. The height of the Arin is 9 tfachim. The Kapayres Tefach. And then you add the height of the kapayres, the cover of the Arin, which was another tefach. Harei kan yud. So you have the height of the Arin, which is 10 tfachim. So again, the Gemara says, let's see how the Levium carry this. So just like they carry the Mizbeach with the poles on top of their shoulders, they also carry the Arin with the badim, with the poles on their shoulders. So over here, as Rashi explains, the Gemara now is going to explain, we're not going to have to assume that the Levim were necessarily so tall, they were 10 amas tall like Moshe Rabbeinu. As the Gemara will soon explain. They were either 7 amas tall, Rashi says, or Tosfos says perhaps they were even only 3 amas tall. Now Gemiri, we know the Chaltuna, the Midli B'maita, is when a person carries something with poles on his shoulders, Tilsi Mila'el, a third of it is above his shoulders, Etrei Tilsi Mila'ra, and 2/3 are below his shoulders. Shtakach, it comes out, the Lamayla Miyud Hava, that what they carried, the oren that they carried, so how much of the oren was below their shoulders? Between 6 and 7 tvachim was below their shoulders, and they are 3 amas tall, so it's still definitely a lot above 10 tvachim off the ground. So therefore, even if the Leviim weren't this tall, we can see that what they carried, when they carried the Orain, which wasn't so tall as the Mizbeach, it was only 10 tvachim tall, since they were carrying it on their shoulders, it was 10 tvachim off the ground. Fragt the Gemara, Veligmar, Mimoshe. Why did the Gemara not want to learn out from what we said before from Moshe Rabbeinu, that Moshe Rabbeinu was 10 amas tall, and that the Leviim were like Moshe Rabbeinu, 10 amas tall? What was not good was the first way we learned it out. So the Gemara says, not necessarily could we apply that to all the Leviim. Dilma Moshe Shani, perhaps Moshe Rabbeinu, the fact that he was so tall is different. Da'amamar, because it was said, Eina Shechina Shoyre El Al Chacham Gibar Asher Bal Kaimeh. The Shechina only rests on a person that's wise, mighty, rich, and tall. So therefore, Moshe Rabbeinu perhaps was different, and he was very tall. He was 10 amas tall, but that's not the usual height of a person, and therefore the Leviim not necessarily were this height. It's interesting, the same Gemara is brought in the Nedarim regarding the fact that Moshe Rabbeinu was a big Navi and he had these qualifications to be a Navi, but there, instead of Bal Kaimeh, it says that he was an Onav. Here the Gemara takes out Onav and replaces it with a Bal Kaimeh in connection to what we're talking about over here. Sagt the Gemara, Amar Rav Mishum Rab Chiya. Rav said in the name of Rab Chiya, Hamoitzi Maseh b'Shabbos al Roisha. A person that carries a package on Shabbos on his head. Chayav Chatos. That's the way you carry things, and therefore you're Chayav Chatos. Why is this? Shekain Anshe Hutzel Eisenkain. The people of the town of Hutzel carry packages on their head. Frekte Gemara, Anshe Hutzel Rube da Alma. The people of this town of Hutzel is the majority of the world that we can base their conduct on. Their conduct, we can say that this is normal. Ella rather, I itmer hachi itmer. If we have to learn this statement of Rav, this is what he said. One of the people of the town of Hutzel that carried a package on his head on Shabbos, chayiv, then he's going to be chayiv. The people of his city do this way. So therefore for them, this is considered to be the derech to carry on Shabbos. Asks the Gemara, but still, let their conduct be bottled to anybody else, since this is unusual behavior to carry this way on your head. Even if the people there did this way, it's still not considered to be a malacha with the regular derech hamitzian, so even they should be potter. Ella, says the Gemara, I itmer hachi itmer. This is the way you have to learn the statement. Hamoitzi matzah al roishoy potter. If you carry a package on your head on Shabbos, you would be potter. And if you're going to say Anshe Hutzel Eisenkain, that it's considered to be the normal way of carrying because the people of the town of Hutzel do this, what they do, their opinion is bottled to everybody else. It's not considered to be a normal conduct. A person, as Rashi says, for example, he's tying money in his belt, and his intention was to have the money tied in front. And it ended up being in the back of him. And that's how he carried it out on Shabbos. Potter. He would be potter because it was not the way he intended to carry it out. La'acharov, if he intended to carry it out behind him, and it ended up slipping and it's there in the front of him, chayiv. Then he would be chayiv. The Gemara will explain the difference. In truth, it was said, another halacha, ha'isha ha'chageres b'sinar, a woman that ties a sinner, which is this little underskirt that they wear below under the skirt for additional modesty. So if you tied something into this sinner, whether it ended up being in the front, whether it was in the back, chayeves, either way she's chayiv, shekain royally is chayzer. It's expected. She knows that it's loose and it goes from the front to the back, and therefore she didn't intend to carry it out dafke in one way and not the other way. Rabbi Yehuda says, Af mekable psakin. The same applies also to those that carry the mail. So there's two pshatim in this. Rashi's pshat over here is that Rabbi Yehuda is actually saying something a little bit different. When a king is sending out a letter, and the intention was to give over the letter to one person to take it, and that person wasn't available, and you ended up giving it to someone else, which wasn't your original intention, but nevertheless, you'd be chayiv because that's something that's normal that happens. that if you're in a rush to get out the letter from the king, that you'll give it to whoever is available. But other Rishonim learn that this af mekable psakin is the same as the previous case, that people that carry the mail, so it's the derech, that it's sometimes in the front, sometimes in the back, it slips, and therefore even if it's not where it was placed originally, whether in the front or in the back, you'd be chayiv. Sagt the Gemara, Ma'ishno. Now, what's the difference between the two first cases mentioned in the Mishnah? Ma'ishno lefonov ubalei la'achrav de potter. If you place the money in the front and it ends up slipping to the back, that you're potter. Dulayis avid machshavtai, because your intention of how you wanted to do this malacha has not been fulfilled. La'achrav ubalei lefonov. The same should apply also if you placed it in the back and it ended up slipping to the front, nami, your intended way of carrying it out was not fulfilled, so you should be potter as well. So why in this case did the Tana say Yechayev? Rabbi Lazar responded to this, Tavra, this is a contradiction. The one that said the first case in the Mishnah is not the same Tana that said the second case of the Mishnah. It's two different Tanoim that said this. So Rava said about what Rabbi Lazar said, Umay kushya. What's the question? We could answer this. Dilma, perhaps we could say as follows. You placed it in the front and it slipped to the back. Hainu time of the potter. The reason why in this case you are potter. You placed your money in the front because you wanted to have a better protection. And what ended up happening is it slips to the back where it's less protected. So you're not happy, you're not interested in taking it out this way that it shouldn't be protected. But if you placed it in the back and it ended up slipping to the front, the reason why your chayiv is the niskave and l'shmira pchusa. You were satisfied with less of a protection in the back, and also biyad shmira mu'ula. And what did you get? It slipped to the front, and now you have a better protection. So you're even happier. You're okay. Your intention has been fulfilled and even better. So therefore, why should there be an issue with you? Not your intention not being fulfilled. Your intention was fulfilled, even more than what you wanted. And therefore, in this case, you'd be chayiv. So therefore, Rava says, looking at the statements of the Mishnah, it's not a contradiction. Elamai kushye, what was the question that forced Rabbi Lazar to say that the two statements of the Mishnah has to be two different Tanoim? The yukid and masnis and kashya. There's a diuk. If you medayik from the Mishnah, here there could be a contradiction. What is that? So if you take the first statement of the Mishnah, you intended to carry your money in the front and it slips to the back, potter. So then the Mishnah says you're potter. So what could we be medayik? What could we deduce from this? But if you carried it, if your intention was to carry it in the back and it was there, you ended up carrying it in the back, chayiv. In such a case, you'd be chayiv. Although it's not so secure over there, it's not the best way to carry out your money, but if that was your intention l'chatchila, it's considered to be the derech and yachayev. That's what we would see from the beginning of the Mishnah. Aim is seifa, but now what does it say in the seifa? The next case, la'achra v'balei lefonov, if you place the money in the back and it slipped to the front, so hu dechayev. In such a case where you got a better protection than putting it in the back where it's not so secure, so then you'd be chayev. But la'achrav ubalei la'achrav, if you placed it in the back and it stayed there, so then potter. So it would be mashma from the Mishnah that over there you'd be potter because it's not so secure. It's not the regular way of carrying it. So that was the problem that was bothering Rabbi Lazar, that the diuk of the reisha and the diuk of the seifa are contradicting each other. Rabbi Lazar, and on this Rabbi Lazar says, Tavre, yes, it's a contradiction. Misha shanazu lo shanazu. The one that says the first case of the Mishnah is not the same Tana that says the second case of the Mishnah. But Ravashi comes and says, no, this is not a question either. My kushya, what's the question? Dilme loimi baya kama. Maybe the way to read the Mishnah is loimi baya, meaning the Mishnah is saying the bigger chiddush. And this is how you read the Mishnah. Loimi baya la'achrav, ubalei la'achrav the chayiv. Needless to say, if you placed your money in the back and it remained there and you carried it out that way, that you would be chayiv. This avida machshavta, your intention has been fulfilled. Even if you placed it in the back and it slipped to the front, this was the chiddush of the Mishnah that even here you would be chayiv. I would think to say, Since your intention has not been fulfilled, you placed it in the back and it slipped to the front, I would think you're not chayiv. Kamash Milan, so the Mishnah is teaching me that even here you would be chayiv. Your intention was to have less of a protection. And it slipped to the front and you have a better protection. The chayiv, your intention has been fulfilled. You're happy, you're okay with the fact that it slipped to the front and therefore you're chayiv. That's the pshat on the Mishnah. You can't be medayik from the seif of the Mishnah that if you placed it in the back and it stayed in the back that you would be potter. No, that would be poshut that you'd be chayiv. The Tana of the Mishnah is telling me the bigger chiddush that even when it slipped to the front, you're still chayiv. Now the Gemara says regarding this case, if you placed your money in the back and it stayed there, tanoi, we can suggest that this is actually a machlokes tanoim. The Tanya, we learned in a brayse, hamoitzi mois bepundose. A person carries money in his money belt, and the opening of the money belt is upwards, chayiv. You're chayiv. That's a safe and secure way how to carry it. That's the normal way of carrying it, so you're chayiv. Piyah lamata, but if you're carrying money in your money belt and the opening is facing down, it's not a very secure way to carry your money. So therefore, Rabbi Yehuda mechayiv. Rabbi Yehuda still says you'd be chayiv in this case because it's still the normal way of carrying money. You're carrying it in your money belt. It's considered to be the normal way. It's not so secure, but it's the normal way. The chachamim paitrim. But chachamim say since it's not secure, it's not the normal way to carry this. The Braisa continues. Amalei Rabbi Yehuda. So Rabbi Yehuda said to the chachamim, I atem maidim. Are you not going to agree to me? That if you placed your money in the back and you ended up carrying it out in the back, shehu chayiv, that he would be chayiv in such a case? So what do we see from this? What's Rabbi Yehuda trying to prove? Even though in the back it's not secure, but if that's how he placed it and that's how he carried it out, it's considered to be the derech and yechayiv. So Rabbi Yehuda wants to compare and say the same thing with the money belt that's upside down and it's not so secure, you should also be chayiv. For Amrullah, the Chachamim responded back to Rabbi Yehuda, and would you not agree to us, if you carry anything in a backhanded way, in the unusual manner, or v'raglo, you're on your foot, shu potter, that you potter because it's in the unusual way. So over here as well, carrying it in a money belt upside down, according to the Chachamim, is unusual, and therefore you should be potter. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, so now Rabbi Yehuda commented and said, I said one thing to bring a proof to what I said, and they brought another case to prove their opinion. I don't have an answer to what they said to me, and they didn't find an answer to the proof that I brought to them. Till here's the Braisa. So now the Gemara says as follows. From the fact that Rabbi Yehuda said to the Chachamim regarding the case where a person put the money in the back and it stayed there in the back, that you would be chayiv. Lav meklal de patri rabbanan. Don't we have to say that the rabbanan that disagreed to this proof, what's going to be their answer? It says in the end of the Braisa they didn't find an answer. So what was the reason why they argued on Rabbi Yehuda? Because they hold that even in that case, you would be pater. Because the money is in the back, even though you put it there, you intended to carry it out that way, it's not safe, it's not secure, it's not the normal way to carry, and therefore Rabbanan in that case would say you pater. M'klal de patri Rabbanan. So this would be the source to say that putting the money in the back and ending up carrying it in the back is a machlokes tanoim. Rabbi Yehuda says you chayiv. That's from where he tried to prove that you should be chayiv. And the Rabbanan that had no response to that probably held that you pater there in that case. Says the Gemara, no. According to this interpretation, according to this, the ka'omri lei. So now let's look at what the Rabbanan were saying to Rabbi Yehuda. This that Rabbanan said to Rabbi Yehuda, will you not agree in a case where a person carries it in a backhanded way, you're on his foot, that he should be pater? Meklal de mechayev Rabbi Yehuda? Are you going to say Rabbi Yehuda that had no response to this, that we're going to have to say that Rabbi Yehuda holds that in such a case he's chayev? How could that be? V'atan, you will learn in a Braisa la'achayade v'raglei divrei akoil pater. In such a case, everybody agrees you pater. This is obviously the not kederach hamitzi, and this is not the derech of the malacha. For sure, everybody agrees you pater over here. So we can't say that Rabbi Yehuda argues about this. So just like regarding this case, we can't say that there's an argument between Rabbi Yehuda and the Rabbanan. The same is also regarding what Rabbi Yehuda told the Rabbanan. When a person placed the money in the back and he ended up taking it out in the back, the pshat in this Braisa is not that they're arguing about that case. So Ella, the Gemara says a different pshat. The pshat over here is as follows. La'acharov Or balei la'achrav, if you put the money in the back of you and it stayed there, divrei kol chayiv. Everybody agrees you're chayiv. Even though it's not so secure there, it's considered to be a normal way of carrying, and everybody agrees you're chayiv. La'achar yadoi v'ragloi, you carry it in a backhanded way or on your foot, divrei kol pater. Everybody agrees that that's an unusual way of carrying, and you would be pater. Ki pligi, when are they arguing? In a case in between. Bepundasai upi olamata. When you have the money in the regular place, in your money belt, but it's upside down. Mar medamele la'achrav v'balei la'achrav. Rabbi Yehuda compares it to the case where your money is not so secure, it's behind you, but it's still considered to be a regular way of carrying and you're chayiv. Umar and the Rabbanon medamele la'achar yadei v'ragloi. They say once your money belt is upside down, that's like you're carrying it totally backhanded on your foot. It's completely unusual, and therefore you'd be pater. Going back to the Mishnah, be'emes amru, it says in the Mishnah that in truth it was said, ha'isha, regarding the halacha of carrying in a sinner. Tana, we learned in a Braisa, kol be'emes, whenever it says in the Mishnah this expression of be'emes, halachahi. This is a halacha l'Moshe miSinai, that's the indication of the word be'emes. Rabbi Yehuda said, af mekablei psakin, also those that receive the letters. So also it would be chayiv, according to Rashi, even if the letter was given to a person that it wasn't lachatchila intended to give it to him, or according to the Rishonim, even if the letter ends up slipping not in the place that you originally intended to carry it out. Tani, we learned in a Braisa, shekin lavlerei malchos oisin king, because the scribes for the king, this is usual that it happens this way. Again, according to Rashi, it's usual that if it's in a rush to get out what the king wants to send out, even though it was going to be given to the person that usually takes it, but if he's not there, you'll give it to someone else. Or according to the Rishonim, it's usual that when they carry these letters, that it slips from one place to another, and therefore you'd be chayiv even if it's not in the original position that you intended to take it out.